get people into the showroom, get people to say there's something here. Because right now it's an afterthought. Welcome back to Car-Pinionated, our weekly show on cars, the car industry, and driving in general. I'm Doug Stewart, and joining me in this endeavor is Glenn Packman, our Fairfield County correspondent, and car expert, real estate appraiser, and improv comedian, an all-around good guy. Yeah, I give him a long list of stuff on his resume. Uh, um, Glenn, Stellantis recently had a big presentation for the people who buy stocks and run the company and all sorts of stuff. And they are rolling out some big plans.
Mm.
The shorthand version of it is that they are promising a bunch of new models,
Mhm.
uh, $70 billion in 70 billion in US dollars for investment in brands and new cars, new lots of stuff. Um, just I'm gonna hit, we'll go through some of this as we go on, but the highlights they are focusing on four main brands: um, Ram, Jeep, Peugeot, and Fiat. And that's going to make up the core of their business. And then
Mhm.
everything off of they'll still have the other brands, which they've talked about getting rid of things, but they're going to focus on those four brands, and then some vehicles that are part of those four brands will also be sold um, in in other iterations, because God knows Chrysler needs something else besides the
Mhm.
Pacifica.
Yeah. Yes.
So, what are your thoughts on what Stellantis talked about?
Um, I think it's great that they're addressing the problem. We talk a lot on this podcast and like how would we fix things? And Stellantis maybe heard one of our podcasts saying you have to fix stuff. It one of the big things for me about them for as a company is I just feel like they've been in the doldrums, not necessarily not thriving, but not thriving. They need some excitement, something to, shake things up. And this sounds like a good beginning. It does sound like they're going to pay some attention to the Chrysler brand, and that for someone who is a two-time Chrysler owner and for an originally a U.S. brand, that's kind of exciting. I don't know how successful it's going to be. I suppose we're just going to find out. Um, but I'm anxious to see what they have to say. My personal take on Chrysler in particular is that more than any other brand out there, they seem to have just a massive image problem right now. Um, Whereas it's easy to slot cars, and Mini is like a perfect example of how you slot a car. It's a slot car, actually. It's like that little car that runs on a track because it sticks to the road so well. I digress. It's an easily identifiable brand. It fills a niche beautifully. I really don't know where Chrysler is anymore. We knew where they were years ago. But on the flip side, Chrysler always seems to be a brand that is constantly reinventing itself. So
Mhm.
maybe that's their niche. I
Yeah.
don't know.
You
Yeah.
can only pull a rabbit out of your hat so many times.
Oh, yeah, it's so true. But they really have. I mean, it was
Yeah.
like, oh, the K car, boom,
Mm.
wait, minivans. Hey, well, we're almost dead. The 300. There you go. So it could happen again. I will it. I don't know. I don't know if there's enough of a stake here. Uh, I think it's nice that they redesigned the front end of their one model, which really looks sharp. Um, but they have a ways to go, I guess is what it comes down to. More than anything else, they need to clean up the image problem. I waded into a Facebook conversation about this very topic, and of course, you get people who give educated comments, and then you get yahoos who are being internet bullies because they can be. Um, and but that topic came up, and a lot of people said you need to find your K car again. If we need anything right now, it's what the K car provided in the early '80s, and that's something that was inexpensive but didn't necessarily feel it, that felt middle of the road, affordable, the everyman's car. I don't know if that's going to be so easy to accomplish anymore. I mean, what is an everyman's car in today's day and age? But
But one of the things that's interesting is what they're looking to do with Chrysler is they've laid it out. There's a slide that I'll show here. Um, they have the Pacifica, uh, and they have drapes over three other cars. One is an air called the Airflow, one is called the Aero, and one is called the Aero Cross. Now we can surmise that the Airflow is some sort of SUV, which they
Mhm.
absolutely need.
Mhm.
Um, and the Arrow and the Arrow Cross are what they're talking about as being one of several models that they want to put out that are sub $40,000, which in this day and age, I think is really important, you know, and kind of get that, that side of the market. Do you think that if you're going for that low end of the market, that um, that it's detrimental to the Chrysler brand, which was always sort of, you know, I think in their minds they competed with Cadillac, but probably more specifically Buick and
Mhm.
Oldsmobile,
Mhm.
and Mercury certainly.
Yeah.
Um, do you think that cheapens the brand, or do you think that the brand doesn't matter anymore?
Um, I it could be both actually. I think it comes down to what do they want the brand to represent going forward.
Hmm.
If there's the opportunity for Chrysler to become the affordable car, seize it. Um, it it just it seems at this point that Chrysler is just a brand without an image. It used to be. I agree. I think the comparison to Oldsmobile, in particular Pontiac, but these cars are all gone now. Buick is still around
Yeah.
barely in the United States, doing well overseas, but maybe that's part of the problem is that shelf in the market, it isn't there anymore. It's like, that there is no that shelf is just almost non-existent. And maybe that's the niche that they're trying to fill, and that's just something that's not being stocked in car buyers' minds anymore. I don't know. It's a very good question. I think if they can come up with a practical car that people want to buy that looks sharp and doesn't fall apart and performs relatively well, then then what's to stop them other than the fact that, all right, so people are still brand oriented, and will they be willing to take the chance? Don't know.
And I think you could always make a less expensive version of a more expensive car.
Yes, yes.
You know,
Hmm.
I'm
Dumb it
looking at
down. Yeah,
yeah, I'm
yeah.
looking at the Ford Thunderbird in the late, transition from the late '70s, where it then became a much more popular, you know, personal luxury coupe rather than an executive luxury coupe.
Right,
Um,
right.
you know, it looks to be like the Arrow and the Arrow Cross, which, by the way, Airflow, Arrow, great names to choose
Mhm,
from. Uh, I don't think that I think they mean something to people who know something about cars,
mhm. Yeah,
but I think that those are good names to go to.
yeah,
Um, have some heritage. Uh,
yeah,
uh, and if some of those might be under 30,000. That's what they're
yeah.
what they're trying to do. They're looking to with Dodge on their on this picture they have the Durango. I don't know how long you're going to keep selling a Durango.
Yeah.
But man,
Yeah.
that
Right.
thing's going to be old enough to drive itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. I
uh, it, go
I
ahead.
have a quick question for you and anyone out there listening, watching. Um, does anybody remember the captive import Plymouth Arrow
Oh
from
yeah,
like what? All right, so here's my question. What was the originating brand on that car?
that was a Mitsubishi.
Was it?
Yes.
It was a
Yeah.
little it was a little hatchbacky thing, if
Yep.
memory serves. It was kind of like the Datsun SX, 210 SX, something like
Yeah.
that,
Yeah. I
which
don't
was
remember if it
weird.
was actually a hatchback or just looked like a hatchback.
Yeah.
That had what looked like fog lights on the bumper, but were
Yeah.
actually the turn signals.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and the airflow, the name goes way back to the
Yes.
30s.
Mhm.
Uh, an iconic automobile that did not sell very well at the time. The Dodge, they have four vehicles in the little block for Dodge. The Durango, the Charger, two-door and four-door. They have what they're calling the GLH, which is, I believe that is a crossover, which they also look to have a performance version of. The GLH was famously a souped up Omni,
Right. I
and
remember that.
stood for Goes Like Hell. Um,
That's right. Oh my god.
and and then they have a car to be named later, which the reports I've seen, it has the big wing on the back, like the old
Mhm.
Roadrunners,
Yeah.
you know? Um,
If a giant came along, could use it as a handle and carry the car around that way,
exactly,
yeah.
exactly.
Mhm.
Or with Jeep. Okay, so my big surprise of the day, they still sell the Compass. Yeah, that's that's what I look like.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah. That's it's on their website. I don't know if they
Huh,
stopped making it and they're still selling it, but it's on their
maybe?
website.
Oh, interesting.
Okay. All
I
right.
didn't know that.
Um, the one new vehicle for Jeep is called the Wrangler Scrambler, which is a it's a version of the Gladiator, um, and and I think it might be a two door, or maybe it's longer. I'm not sure. I didn't get a really good impression of what it was, but they have the new Jeep Recon, which is the EV, and the new Cherokee, which I saw one the other day, and it looks really nice. They also here's an idea. They're going to drop the big Chrysler V8 in the Grand Wagoneer and make it an SRT version.
Really? Wow.
um, okay, good for you. Um, points for trying.
Right, right.
You know,
Um,
yeah, and the Ram has two new vehicles, in addition to the 1500s and the 2500s and things like that. Three actually. They it's listing that they have a Rampage, which is the
mhm,
small Fiat pickup truck that they sell in Latin America. I think it's a Fiat.
okay.
Um, the Dakota, which thankfully they're keeping the name. They listen to us, and a Ram Charger, which looks like Ram SUV, and I don't know if that's a. I would assume that they're going to make it a four door because I don't think there's a market for two door. Um, anyway, we're gonna take a quick break and we'll come back and talk some more about this. We're back. We're talking about Stellantis. So, Glenn, when you think about this kind of layout, what they're bringing to market, what are you thinking?
I'm skeptical.
Okay.
Just, I guess, part of it is that just economically speaking, things are just so weird right now
Mhm.
that I talk a lot about the global marketplace, and Stellantis is a global company. They're not even a brand. They're just a company represented by all these different makes. And I don't know what the world looks like for that kind of a company. I guess they're all global companies, so maybe I'm feeling very unsure about the automotive future for our automotive makes of all kinds.
Mhm.
Um, I'd love to see some stability where all of that is concerned, and I don't know how that happens. And I'd love to see for all the auto companies to flourish and do well. I don't know if it's going to happen. I don't know, especially for Chrysler. I just don't know. I
I I give them credit
mhm,
because I think this administration at Stellantis understands that you can't cut your way to profits.
right,
I mean, you can in some ways, but
mhm,
it doesn't help you to slash and burn.
right,
And it seems to be that they are doing a lot to say we're going to throw money at the problem, and it seems to be pretty strategic. Where that ends up happening because of what you said, the craziness in the market, I don't know. I can't predict that, but I give them credit, like
mhm,
like I was talking with Brian Moody about Honda and their problems where they had huge losses and now they're retrenching and stuff like that. And Stellantis is kind of taking a different view of it. Like we're going to pump a lot of money, and they already have $3 million, three, 3 billion, $13 billion, I think, back late last year, where they were putting money into 7 new vehicles. And maybe that's part of this. I wasn't clear. I couldn't figure that out.
yeah,
But the ones that I see on this list, um, for by 2030, I think they're all vehicle, maybe with the possible exception of the Scrambler. I think they're all vehicles that they really need. A mid-sized pickup truck, a compact pickup truck, an
mhm,
SUV for Ram. I mean, those are really three things that will make that showroom more alive with traffic.
mhm,
Because right now it's really just the pickup trucks and the vans, the ProMasters.
right, right,
Um, Dodge has always been there. Cheap. I don't mean this I mean an inexpensive performance brand,
mhm,
right? And and if they can take one of the things I read about the GLH is like it's going to be very similar to the Dodge Hornet, but we're going to do it right this time. Is
yeah,
literally almost the exact quote. Um, and I think a compact SUV, that's a great place to be in the market.
right,
I mean,
right. And there's some
everyone sells
interesting
it.
talk about the Pronto, which doesn't really.
Yeah, I don't know how that folds into what they announced on the other day,
Yeah,
um, but it might be that same sort of thing that where the airflow and the Aero, probably the Aero and the Aero Cross are
right,
probably what the
right.
Pronto might have been. I think the Pronto goes back a couple months, and they were talking to dealers.
Yeah.
Um,
They caught a little bit of a wave, and I always felt that, in that, the neon was, and I think that that's what they're sort of trying to
mhm,
encapsulate a little bit. I felt like the neon was a hit for what it was supposed to be. It
mhm,
wasn't supposed to be terribly fancy. It was kind of cool, a little different looking, a little edgy, but still
mhm.
extremely utilitarian and inexpensive. you know.
Mhm.
So when I hear about, when I was reading about the Pronto, the first thing that popped in my mind was, okay, so this is the Dodge Neon for a new generation, maybe,
Mhm.
hopefully. That would be cool. That
Yeah.
would be cool. Well, they're talking about putting it in the 20,000 range, and there's nothing in the 20,000 range. So, if they can put out a decent quality product that doesn't make people's eyes hurt, yeah, okay, bring it by all means. Hopefully people will buy it.
Yeah.
Maybe, and again, maybe we're dealing with affordability issues in this country. There's just anybody who says that we're not, they're in denial. Housing is becoming affordable. I can't even talk about at this point in time gasoline. Forget it. But our utilities are expensive. Food is becoming pricier every
Mhm.
day. So maybe it's time for that car that sells in a very inexpensive slot that registers as kind of cool.
Mhm.
So can they do that?
Yeah. We're we're going to talk about in a upcoming episode
Yes.
what makes a cool little car, what
Right.
makes a good little car.
Right.
But yeah, that the neon is one of them.
You're right.
Neon is absolutely one of them.
Yep.
And the problem has always been how you make money at that part.
Yes. Yeah.
You know,
Little cars are just they're not money makers, you know.
right?
It's very hard to turn a profit.
And if you can get find a car that if Chrysler can find something that gets people into the showroom,
Mhm.
that's gonna be job number one, to use a Ford saying.
Yeah.
Get people into the showroom, get people to say, oh, there's something here. Because right now, it's an afterthought, you
Yeah.
know.
Yep.
And I for one said, I when we first talked about the Dakota coming back, you know, I smart people that I listened to said Dakota's great, but you really should be looking at a small Maverick size product.
Mhm. Mhm. Yep.
You know,
Ford
I
is
don't
selling every one of them, you know.
every one of them, and
Yep.
I think um, the Santa Cruz was a swing and a miss.
Mhm.
Uh, I can't put my only thing is I can say that I don't think that people saw that as a truck. I think they saw it as a car
Mhm.
slash crossover that had a bed in the back. Where
Yeah.
I don't think that that's what they think when they see a Maverick. I think
Right.
they see a small pickup truck.
It's a small pickup truck, right.
Yeah.
And the Santa Cruz looks like a Tucson where they hacked off the back part and put a bed on it.
Right.
That's exactly what it looks like, you know.
Mhm.
It's not horrible, but,
No,
it doesn't it
sure
doesn't
it's a sure it's a
it
fun car.
doesn't bespeak utility.
No,
So,
no.
yeah.
What was the I know there was the Brat, the Subaru Brat, but what was
Mhm.
the later one that they had? The Baja?
Yes, yes, there
Yeah.
was a
The
Baja. Yep,
right, right.
yep, same thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Um, that one of the things that they're talking about here is having a platform called the STLA1, which their big picture is called Fast Lane, which is FASTLAONE. So STLA is in the center of Fast Lane. That's
Mhm,
kind of cool. Um, it's going to be designed to bring together 5 different platforms into one scalable architecture, reducing complexity and expanding coverage. So it'll cover the B, C, and D segments, which are everything from compact all the way up to midsize.
mhm,
Um, Subcompact, actually, B is subcompact. Uh, 20% cost efficiency driven by modularity, by design and battery choices, taking a page out of Ford, what Ford is saying about their EV pickup truck that they're putting money into, as being a very modular platform. Um, a lot of a lot of electronics, STLA brain, STLA smart cockpit and steer-by-wire technology. And they're designing it to grow into a mega platform supporting 30 plus models and targeting more than 2 million units by 2035. That's a laudable goal.
Hmm.
Uh, the uh, It took a while for me to find this, so I might. It apparently the power plants are could be electric range extending EVs and internal combustion engines. Um, uh, yeah. So the other piece that they're looking at that they talked about was so you had the four major brands: Jeep, Ram, Peugeot, and Fiat. Um, Globally, across the world, right? And then the regional brands: Chrysler, Dodge, Citroen, Opel, and Alfa Romeo, very strong in their respective markets, and they get the spillover effect from the cars that were, you know, designed for the other brands. Um, DS and Lancia, historic brands, managed by Citroen and Fiat, and Maserati, a pure luxury brand with a um, two new E segment vehicles, E class being
Hmm.
executive class and above. And then
Right.
they're also going to have partnerships with Dongfeng, Tata, and surprisingly, Jaguar Land Rover.
Really?
Yeah, don't know what that's going to bring about, but
Hmm. Interesting, since Jaguar is kind of in the same place that Chrysler is, sort of.
yeah, except for Chrysler is actually building vehicles
Right.
and
Jaguar
Jaguar
not.
isn't.
Right, right.
So
Yeah.
maybe that's one of the lessons that they could also give them some lessons in computer security
Right.
because they got shut down.
Yeah.
um, but yeah, so like we always say, we want companies to succeed. So we
Yeah.
hope that it works out. But all right, we're going to land the plane here. Thank you for joining us. You can always look at old episodes of Car-Pinionated, which are a lot of fun, and you'll at least at least laugh a little. And we will see you next time.